This meeting is being recorded.
Anyways, okay. Hello, everyone. We're just sharing on the chat, the links for today's session, as well as the YouTube link to the live streaming. And we will start shortly our session. Okay. Okay, give me a second to share. Giza is here as well. Hello, Giza.
Hello, Penny. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm not kind of feeling well with my stomach. I have an ulcer, but I'm listening. I'll be online.
Okay, brilliant. No problem at all.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm taking notes.
Okay. Can you all see my screen? And I'm going to remove this. Yes. So welcome everyone to. Hello, great. So welcome everyone to the second session of the Power to the Commons, which is part of the Commoning Cluster teachings of the Arts Collaboratory School. That we started on the 4th of July, and this is, as I said, our second session. That we move to the discussion of how we can think about the commons from a south to south perspective. And we're very happy to have here with us a number of good friends that we've met few years ago in Documenta 15 in Kassel. And we're happy to have you all. So a few things about the session is going to be recorded via YouTube, as well as being live streamed for those who cannot make it right now via the Zoom, but also for those who would like to see it later on, along with our first session from the 4th of July that is also recorded. On the chat, there is a list of web links that relate to today's session, that are links to the different projects and are part of the Commons website as well. This session will last 90 minutes. We start with the opening check-in and we close with a check-in as well. And I will say a few things about who we are. This is the session, South to South Commoning Beyond the World Commons, collecting stories from the Global South that reflect what we understand by the commons, the practices and tools that activate the commons. So I'll start with the host. So here we are three people: Luciana Fleischmann from Arts Collaboratory Coordination Team, Power to the Commons, and I'm happy to have you here, Luciana. Alex Correa from Plato Edro non-profit organization in Medellin, which is a member of Arts Collaboratory, but also of the AC School Commoning Cluster and the Power to the Commons. And myself, Penny Travlo, who I'm a member of the AC School, the Power to the Commons, and my day job is in the University of Edinburgh in the UK. With us, we have four storytellers. Feza Kayungu from Centre d'Art Wassa in Lubumbashi, Congo DR, and a member of the Common Life that we'll say more about, the Power to the Commons, and the AC, the Arts Collaboratory. Giza Bryan, who is a director of Africa Arts Collective in Kampala, Uganda, member of the Common Life and the Power to the Commons Assembly in Documenta 15. Bren Heymans from futurvelour.com and the Power to the Commons Assembly again in Documenta 15. And finally, Taryn McKay and the Kinocounter members of the Kinocounter Circle in Johannesburg, South Africa, members of the Common Life Project and part of the Commons Assembly. So that's the introductions, and I understand that you may need some backup of what all these different names of projects may mean. So in a very brief way, we will introduce the Power to the Commons and the Common Life, but all information, particularly for the Power to the Commons, is in the first recording that we will share with you, and it is within this list of web links. So I think it's up to you, Luciana, to give few introductions about who we are and all the background of what we do.
Thank you so much, Penny. Nice to have you all in this session and also to continue with this Power to the Commons sessions, learning sessions. Well, my name is Luciana Fleischmann. I'm also part of the Arts Collaboratory ecosystem, and I would like just a small recap for those who are not maybe familiar with what is Arts Collaboratory and what is AC School, to mention some very short description about us. I will say, oh, just a second, I will mute my audio here. Okay, yeah. About Arts Collaboratory, I can mention that we are 24 art organizations from different parts of the world. Some are collectives, another are institutions of, another are just organizations of art. We come from different places, from Latin America to Middle East, from also Africa and Asia. And we've been working together in many different ways, from collaborative projects to assemblies, sometimes online, many times online and sometimes in person. And we've been thinking and doing together for more than 10 years now. In this network, we've had different initiatives, and one of those initiatives has been the AC School. After having like a lot of time together doing things, we wanted to share some knowledge and learn from others. So this kind of experiment of the AC School is one of those initiatives of trying on one side to open up to a broader network and ecosystems that we are connected in every local context that we are working with. And on the other side, like having this opportunity of developing like different activities. An example of one of the big activities that AC School has developed, I think we will mention, because that's how we got in contact also with the Common Life project. But one of those initiatives has been participating in the Documenta 15 and organizing a Power to the Commons assembly that happened in Germany in 2022. And since last year, we wanted to develop this kind of different teachings from different initiatives, and these teachings has this purpose of learning together, exchanging some knowledge, and we developed those teachings into different clusters of ideas and projects. We are inside a commoning cluster, and our proposal specifically talks about commoning, an opportunity to imagine another world. So we've been working for some years now, and we want to like share some of the, or collect some of this knowledge and share it like more openly. So that's my like very short introduction. And I don't know if Penny, you want me to talk about a bit about Common Life now or later?
Just later, but
Okay.
we can say that the rest of the teachings, we will show you the dates at the very end, so you put them down and explain you a little bit about what will be. I'm going to follow from Lucy's presentation. Just a second to go back, because I think I may forgot something to say, which is about the teaching schedule for today, that we start with the introductions, then a very short summary, And of course, that introduction to the common life and the power to the commons. But then we have these four great storytellers that will tell us their own stories related to the commons and the projects. And then we hopefully will have time for reflections on some general questions and questions from the audience. So this is very important for those of you who are attending, that you can add your question either in chat or when the time comes in. Hopefully you can ask directly your question to any of us, but generally to create a discussion around commoning practices from South to South perspective. And as I said, the closing check-in. Give me a second because I will need to change PowerPoint slides. So I'll stop sharing and I will go to the second. Give me a second to see where I am. So to stop this one, sorry for that. It's going to take just a second to get into the second. I don't know where I'm going to find that one. Sorry for that. The sharing should be like that, yes. We'll see. Could you see my screen? The second screen, so I can, okay, great.
Yes.
Let me open it to be for a slideshow. Presenter, no, it's not the presenter, so sorry for that. I'm so sorry, it's just, okay. Let's start from, I think it should be this one. So now you can see the full screen, I hope. Yeah. So this is the power to the commons. Very few, just a very short summary about what we did, what we talked about in the first session, but also to give you an overview of the power to the commons. So the power to the commons is an initiative that came along during COVID, apparently, although we started in the late 2019, but then we got into COVID and we did most of our meetings online, and apparently was meant to meet in Dakar to present the first stage of the Power to the Commons in Afropixel Festival Edition 8, but that happened online. So just a few words about the Power to the Commons. As you see, it's an ongoing collaborative project developed by arts initiatives both in Latin America and Africa, within the Arts Collaboratory Network. That's the initial part of it. And then we invited our critical friends from the Common Life project that Lucy will explain shortly. So the project is, as you see here, very briefly, is an explorative one, seeking ways of practicing the commons within artistic forms, but also understanding the specificities of the commons rooted in our various contexts, geographical, cultural, and social, due to where we are in these different territories. And as I said, the first edition was presented in the online version of edition 8 of the Afropixel Festival, organized, initiated by Kertio San, one of our art organizations based in Dakar, Senegal. This is to give you an overview of who we are originally. Plato Edro from Colombia, Medellin, Dakar, Kertio San in Dakar, Senegal, and Sendar Ouassa in Lubumbashi, in DR Congo, with coordinator Molemo Moloya from South Africa, and included 3 researchers who matched with each of the projects of the organizations. Myself with Plato Edro, Diana Dianwe from Université Cheikh Anta Diop de Dakar with Kertio Sen, and Pierre Kahenga with Sendar Ouassa. And that's, as I said, an initiative for Arts Collaboratory funded by Doen Foundation in the Netherlands. This is our first initial meeting online that happened in April 2020. But since then, we continued and we organized our next stage, which was an assembly of the Power to the Commons in Documenta 15, this time in person in Kassel in Germany. That's again from Afropixel 8, where all the people involved were participating in this. This is the Power to the Commons with a quotation mark as an assembly in Documenta, which was to look on the perspective from the Global South through Arts Collaboratory, how we consider and experience and practice the commons. That's our our poster. That's the assembly lasted 4 days from the 7th to the 10th of July 2022 with open events to the public, to the general public visiting the Documenta 15, but also internal meetings to consider and think and reflect together on the Power to the Commons. These are the groups involved, which, as you will see, are participating in today's session. Apart, unfortunately, from the one in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwe, with Laura Ganda as researcher and member of this organization. And I leave it here at the moment, or I'm just jumping just for a second, so I can have that in my background when Lucy introduces Common Life. But let's say give you some idea of how we operated in these 4 days in Documenta through a series of photos. So we'll go very briefly. And also to say that these were our 6 goals to achieve, and we achieved during the assembly, to share experiences, to develop explorations about the original forms of understanding commons from local practices like Buen Vivir, or otherwise living good or good living, or Sumacuazey from the Quechua language in Ecuador and Colombian indigenous communities, and Ubuntu in the South African context, which has now expanded in various different regions of the African continent, to develop a radio and other tools, basically podcasts, during the Documenta 15 presence of the assembly, to develop creative responses, to broaden our ecosystem through inviting our critical friends from Common Life and bringing and creating, developing a lexicon and languages on commons and commoning practices. These are who we are, and some of us, we are here today. This is a circle during Documenta, invited to use a space of a different collective, MAMA, which is Más Acción Más Arte, or Más Arte Más Acción, from Colombia, working collectively with the audience, with the members, what does common mean for you, and collecting these experiences, thinking together, creatively thinking together, which is one of the key principles of Buen Vivir or Sumacuazey, how to know, to think together, how to reflect and harvest what we did during this assembly, cooking and eating together. This is our collective kitchen that some of us, or actually all of us, participated in the last day of our presence in Documenta 15. How we reflect further, and how we take this with other people for Documenta 15. This time is Ruan Grupa, who were the key curators of Documenta 15. Eating as well together, and doing other projects working around the concept of the commons, like what code or coding, meaning through the commons, how you commoning code and coding. And how we think with interspecies, with nature and more than humans within the concept of the commons, and of course of our presence at Power to the Commons Assembly during Documenta. And I leave it there because there's more to say, and we shouldn't take more time from our 4 storytellers today. So I'm going back just for Lucy to say a few things about the common life. Okay.
Thanks, Penny. Since here we have like many participants of the Common Life projects, you can of course add to my description that is mostly from the website and how do you officially call this project and what it is about. I'm just gonna read it. Common Life is an experiment in thinking together. It is an opportunity to explore and test strategies for artistic practice that are deeply tethered to the places from which they have emerged and strongly committed to the potential of art to generate ways of living together in common. It is a relatively modest contribution developed over the period of 18 months to a big and broad subject, intending to ask big questions and swim in the wondrous possibilities that art initiatives in the African continent are making, testing and playing with every day. Common Life is an invitation into curious inquiry into dreaming together. This project was conceived by The Ungovernable, an art and society project based in Johannesburg. It looks to learn from a number of art initiatives around Africa that are dedicated to exploring the intersections between art practice and society through amalgamating community life and artistic practice. Each arts initiative does this in very different ways and deals with very different forms of creative practice. However, they are all committed to a practice that is very grounded in this context, engages with African principles of Ubuntu or African humanism and creativity. So this is it from Common Life. I think we already added this link in the chat, or I can check now if you already have. And we have 5 researchers that have collaborated with 5 different art initiatives to explore the elements of their practice and share them here. So we have Festival sur le Niger from Mali, Kertiosane from Senegal, African Arts Collective Anekilawuli from Uganda, Dimbanhete from Zimbabwe. Maybe I'm not reading it in the proper way. You can correct me, please. And Kino Kadre from South Africa. And some of the people that are mentioned here, we have them in the session. For example, we have Tarin here, and we also have Kisa from Africa Arts Collective. So yeah, I think that's all from my side, and now we can move to the stories.
I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I'm going back into the previous presentation so that the audience as well are aware of the prompt questions that each storyteller had to respond. So there is a story that it is around some questions to initiate and facilitate the discussion. So give me a second to go back into the original PowerPoint. To start with Saint-Rwasa, just give me a second for that. Okay, to share again. Yep. And okay, and this is it. So these are the questions that Saint-Rwasa, Feza in this case, had to prepare and think reflectively, so to introduce us a little bit of what Waza is, but also the background of the Power to the Commons in regards to Afropixel Edition 8 and Documenta 15. Thank you, Feza. So I don't know if I will stop sharing so that you will appear in the screen. Oops, I disappeared. Okay, I'm here, yes. Okay, Feza.
Should I start?
Yes, yes, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, for the first question, Waza is an independent art center founded in 2010 in Lubumbashi, DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo. And the name Waza is from Swahili, which means imagine, which is kind of a little bit of our, which is part of our practice. So we develop exhibitions, publications, and cultural productions that challenge conventional knowledge sharing and promote social awareness. We also host diverse range of creatives, visual arts, music, writing, dancing, and also some other activities related to the economy of art. And we have a library, a sound studio, a web radio, and a zine lab, and an ecosystem of interdisciplinary exchange. So we have worked on different projects, including Kirata, non-extractive museum practices, where we have the communities being included into the questions, for example, regarding the restitution, so that they can also have and say what they think about restitutions issues going on, which should not only be or an ideology or an issue connected to artists, but also to communities, as those artworks were taken from the communities. We also work with communities on ecological and infrastructural tensions, and we have presented Walemba movie at Documenta 15. But also, we also emphasize on community mediation and experimental research, which is part of our currency, the experimentation through curatorial platforms. We also tackle themes like restitution, like I've said, African cultural heritage, alternative use of cyberspace, emancipation from paternalistic label structures. So Waza is also in networks like PANIC, Pan-African Network of Independent Contemporaries, and also collaborate with AC and another Roadmap Africa cluster. We also work on projects like Maramba, which is a community-led project transforming Lubumbashi Railway District into a space of cultural, athletic, and ecological engagement. I'll just call it that way because it is a space where the existing place is already there with the gaming terrain. I'll call it sport terrain, like basketball court and football court, but also there's a small garden just not far from the basketball court. And we would like to work on it as a space where we can have not only artists, but also the people, so that they can reflect on the common practices, for example, sharing on arts, sharing also on activities like having a common gardens, those kind of ideas. And these projects, we work in collaboration with Futur Velour, which contribute on textile narratives. I'll go to the next question. Our journey from Afropixel to the power to the commons. And so Afropixel has not only enriched our exchange of knowledge and practices. So it is not only about sharing knowledge and practices, it is about collaborating with partners like Curtusan for a very long time, but in a way that we can create an imagined concept and thematics despite our geographic and distance. We can be able to co-create together on same topics and thematics. So this is how we imagine, and this is how Waza has been shifted by the collaboration going on between Afropixel projects, which embedded Curtusan and Waza. So it is also about common language rooted in togetherness, experimentation, political imagination, which allow us to generate curatorial ideas, artistic propositions that resonate across the space without compromising on realities that surround us as environments, which are not connected geographically. But I mean, Waza is in the central part of Africa and Kyrgyzstan is in the western part of Africa. So we have different political realities. And since Documenta 15, Centre Waza has embraced a transformative vision, which is cooperation, which means we still going. It's still an ongoing process that WASA is working on co-ownership. How we trying to imagine WASA not only as a space but also as a community. So this ongoing process has been inspired by different collectives during our AC assembly during Documenta 15. So we now are seeking to create a space where community and members can identify as part of it beyond borders. And it is through that I can today speak on behalf of WASA, despite not being in the administrative team. So we have shifts, and this is defining us slowly because we're trying to make it as a spirit where people do not only feel attached or they don't really only belong to the space as a space, but also they belong to the idea of WASA being a community. So this co-ownership is not only symbolic, but also operational. Like I can be here and speak on behalf of WASA and yes, speak with people in Lubumbashi there. This is what we're trying to build. And I think, yes, I think I have responded. Yes, these are the things that have changed. So we are going on with this co-ownership, even into the hierarchy and how we are reframing the way WASA is going to operate, but also to choose the members and to redefine the ecosystem. So yeah, I think I did not even make it to 10 minutes. So unless there are other questions, I'll be happy to respond. But I think I covered all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Feza. There will be time, hopefully, for reflecting together, because there's some things that definitely you mentioned that would be nice to unpack later on. Let's see that we have the time. And what I'll do now, I'm going to share again my screen for the second speaker, who is Giza from another part of the African continent, from the west part. Actually from the east part, I'm sorry, Uganda, from Kampala. And give me a second to go back into the share screen, where we have here Africa Arts Collective, represented by Giza, Brian, from, as mentioned, from Kampala, Uganda. So I understand, Giza, that you cannot share your screen. So is that okay if we stayed with having on the background the 4 questions that it was meant for you to reflect a little bit? Is that okay? Are you with us, Giza?
Yes, I'm with you. That's okay.
Great, fantastic.
I'm just, you can see
Welcome.
I'm lying on my clothes because of my stomach, so
No
I really
worries.
can't get up.
Yeah.
The doctor turned me down on the floor for some time. But I'm okay. I can listen and I can speak. And yeah, so much has gone on with it. Sorry, could you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
So, greetings from Uganda, and it's great to reconnect with everyone. And it's a great approach to see us having these discussions back live. And I think it's key. One of the key things we discussed on how to go forward. I will go to the first question. Could you like to introduce ourselves? Well, Africa Arts Collective is more of a community arts collaborative. That's what I would say. As our main values of how can arts play a bigger role in the community, and also how does the community have a further understanding of the arts that we present maybe out of our own countries. I would say that a major thing that Africa Arts Collective is focusing on is the collaborative between the artists and the communities, and also the community understanding of the artists. So majorly our projects have been in a focus of linking between artists and communities, where we have had practices of artists who are either established or still in university, or starting up their careers, coming into our communities that we work with and also sharing the experience, but also practices. But then also they do get to learn other practices by engaging with our communities through learning of what practices do they have already, like of knowledge. So it's much of an exchange collaboration with artists, arts, and the community. Our main practices have been more in addressing social issues and also the economical issues that have been a challenge within the arts. That is like, how do we get to our communities appreciating more of the arts? Because as a background like Uganda, we have more of a challenge that most of our arts are not really appreciated where we come from. We find that more of the artists in universities are working and looking at art galleries or not having that exception of what it is to promote your art within your own community, and also how many spaces are there for these artists to promote themselves or associate and build stories that really connect with their communities. So we've been trying to engage our communities and artists in several pilot programs and also like already established programs that we have. I could say like Echilauli, which is much elaborated in the when we became involved with the Common Life project. And within the Common Life project, as it looks at different organizations that have projects established in community, we had David Kaiser have research about with our community members and straighten out on how Echilauli also has grown into a community studio. You know, it came from an idea of just blowing glass, but now it has come to a material that is supporting a community in all its different forms, whether melted or not melted. So that's raising a big role for us in the Common Life, that art can not only play a role for the educated, but also the uneducated. Depends on how, and also there's how we collaboratively work with people in these communities. So through the Common Life project, we got to realize we got to get involved through our researcher David Kaiser. He came and spent time with our community. As you would read in, I think on the website, you'll get to know much more since we have limited time. But then the Power to the Commons Assembly was we saw there's much relation with what drew us in. Would say there's much relation with other organizations, what we're doing. And it is I think good to have knowledge about what other organizations are doing and get a center point of communicating and trying to see each other's concepts or modules, how they're working. And how does your work connect with the commoning and solidarity? I would say as a community arts collaborative, we have had different practices that were put in place that we see that have been adopted, even from the part of the Commons Assembly. We say like the cooking. We have had now the concept of a Chilauli social kitchen, which has become that within the community studio, there's a general practice of cooking together, and this has strengthened the bonding and solidarity between our members from the community and bringing in new members. And it has also grown into now that they are growing their own food, which is like everyone has a plant or different small garden. So that is something that we saw, I think, when we're back in the part of the Commons Assembly, picking from a leaf from there. But then there's also the other aspect of like the economical aspect where we're trying to grow an entrepreneurship club of whereby community members have this economical benefit from what they create collectively. And this is more within the Women Art Program, which we started recently, that we have women practicing and all practicing in the African tradition and I think the world tradition of weaving. So, and we brought it up as bringing in this practice because where you find that women in our community, most of them have these techniques of weaving, but then when you introduce them to an artist, it opens them their world to another kind of solidarity of that. Oh yeah, I've been doing this weaving more of like on a commercial basis, but it can help me express myself through the artists, maybe collectively working with the women from community. So there is a big growth of solidarity and commoning practice that comes in when you have a space within community that has both the unlearned and land. And that's something that I see that comes with the connecting of the commoning and the solidarity. Challenges, I think we of documented 15 challenges and visibility, representation. I think it was much of the start. If we had also other countries that we saw, I mean, we had people from Uganda already who are representing, but I think on the sense of power of the Common Life project, I don't know how far we're going still with it, but it would be great to have a continuous, I think, exchange and communication. Because sorry, I forgot to mention that on this commoning and solidarity is something I forgot. We started a podcast, a community podcast, and this is something also we learned from back in Castle, where we started a mini community podcast, which started from a solidarity within our own community. And we had, I reached out, I think, to Alex, and we had conversations. Then he reached me out to people in Spain, I think African Radio. And we have had like different community artists coming and say, oh, may I do sound recording? Can I be part of your podcast? I do video. So, and this has been done with no grants. So commoning practice that we have, the commoning practices that we put in place for this podcast to happen was that come and you will have a seedling to take back home, come and we plant a garden, come and we have some cooking together, and then we share knowledge as artists with also community people, not only for artists, but we have also community. I'll share a link about our different conversations, and you hear different artists share what they can, community members. So I think with any greatness, there has to be a challenge. So I didn't take much of it. I don't really stick to the challenges, but see how much we can overcome. So I think from part to the commons, I'm trying to see what are things that I learned from Castle that we can really put into practice, that we have organizations like 32 here who have open studios. So we're trying to also learn much more from the arts collaboratory organizations and seeing what practices can be really exchanged within. I think it is much of a learning factor from each other, more for the people in the part to the commons and how we common. So, and what does commoning mean to you in Kampala and in your community? Can you give an example of how we? So I think here I will share the link to our podcast that we started, and we're trying to look at see how to open it up more into our community radio station. We're trying to put that in order now, and then we can have like audio dramas, things like audio dramas play that educate people about the arts and also reach out to the unknown artists, because we realized with working with community, it has brought out so many unknown artists that you don't realize when you are only centered within uncommon grounds. I think that's much I would go through my story
Thank you.
since.
Thank you, Giza.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much. We have more to discuss later, but thanks a lot. So we have two more storytellers, and I think that will contribute further to this discussion. And I will go straight to the next one, showing the questions. And give me a second to see here. Yes, which is Futur Velour, is Bren Heymans from the project Futur Velour Kazai in DR Congo. So welcome, Bren. Nice to see you again. These are, for the audience, these are the 4 questions that Futur Velour and Bren had to respond or have to respond to today's storytelling. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us. So Futur Velour is a nonprofit organization from Congo, with me being in Belgium, being from a background as an artist working in public space and in working with communities, and a background with roots in Indonesia, doing water and architectural projects there, and also textile projects. I went to the Kasai and the Kuba area to start Futur Velour, which is a project which has an internet site which wants to give a platform to the women and artists and artisans there who continue the century-old tradition of Kuba embroideries, which were very important for the birth of modernism on one part, and our organization is there to be in a sort of experimental place where we can go in dialogue with designers, institutions, museums, other artists who want to go in dialogue with the artist in Kasai. And through that, the textiles we create are a dialogue between East, West, and South in Congo. And the process, which takes a couple months to create these textiles, during that process, our artists come in contact with the museums, with the curators from around the world, broaden their knowledge and broaden their world. And the textiles that come back are for us the economic factor which pays the project. And we started 6 years ago. We were invited at the Documenta thanks to Waza. We have a shared project which Feza just introduced, which is Camperamba, in which our artist imagined the motifs for a basketball court in Lumumbashi, which you see here beside me. So the idea is that through our designs, we also want to put these motifs which are lost thanks to colonization, or not thanks to due colonization, and that is also part of what we do. So we want to put these motifs also in public space, not only working in the community and giving the people there a basic salary and education, but also highlighting how this art form, which was used by many modernist artists, to get that how do you say, the information that the Western missionaries who came to Congo, who saw that art form, changed it in that fact that now it is a sort of sterilized, more commercialized form. And what we do is we try to give them old publications, and working with museums, bringing them back old examples to get jazz back in these textiles. So no more like stratifications or maps which have to be drawn before they make the motifs, but just a pure improvisation, going back to the essence of what it was. So it is a combination of all these factors. And thanks to the Documenta, I was very happy to meet all these other art organizations and groups, which were very, very inspiring for me. But now I'm since 3 years in the process of putting all this knowledge back to Kasai. And this is not something which goes very slowly, because we work with people who are uneducated, who cannot read, who cannot write. So the process of 6 years ago, a director and a manager and somebody following up, and now the situation that every woman and artist has their own smartphone and communicates in a group, and we can take decisions by the group, is something which we learned through the Documenta and the guiding hands of Waza, of course, who are Congolese and who give us a lot of information and tips how to handle certain problems which sometimes we are confronted with. Now I have to shift back to the questions, which I cannot see at the moment. So, oh, I don't hear anything.
you cannot see them. I thought that I was sharing them, or I'm not sharing them. Can you?
You were sharing them, but I quit it because it's better to look at him speaking.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So can you put them back so that
I cannot
Brian
put
can
them back.
see?
You need to share
Ah,
the screen
yeah.
again. I'm sorry.
Okay. Give me a second to share them again. So no worries. I can do that. Okay. Can you see them now?
Yes, yes. Okay, so going back to what did you mean to be a guest? So yeah, Waza invited us for our common project, which I just explained. That is the basketball court, which we hope to realize this year. It's been almost 3-4 years of lobbying and getting the funds together and getting everything fine-tuned. And we hope that this integration in the public space of Lubumbashi is going to be something which can also change the community there, and going to be a sort of starting point, a sort of seed which we want to plant there in that neighborhood, which can grow out to a whole new community with community gardens and the concepts of commoning, growing slowly into a certain space, but with the help of a sort of starting point, and that is the basketball court. And the only specific thing which I would like to tell about that is that we're incorporating ores and minerals, which are a very problematic thing in Congo, which disrupt the society, and we want to incorporate that in the basketball court as a sort of statement to see that part of the wealth stays there and generates new possibilities for the local people.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you participate? So yes, commoning is something with our art group and our initiative, which is slowly growing. Like I told you, we're working with artists who are mainly women who have large families, and it's a really rural community with very heavy patriarchal characteristics. So we try to through our website and through our work give our women artists also the possibility to be more independent and to take more grip on their life, and also on their with the work they're doing, broaden their own creative world and their own language through the textiles they make, and giving that to the next generations, of course. I think that's more or less what Futur Velour is, and we would be happy to answer more questions.
Thank you so much, Brent. I'm pretty sure there's more to be discussed later, but I see also that we have our next group of speakers. I'm not sure if I'm still sharing or not. I hope not, so we can see everyone from Kino Cadre, which is a circle of, if I'm right, of cinema lovers, but not only. And we've met already 2 members, Sappho Walana and Tari McKay, but I see here that there are 3 more people, so welcome. And if you don't mind, just for a second, for everyone to be from the audience aware of the questions that we had for you. I will share again, I'm so sorry for that, just for few seconds so everybody is aware of what we've asked, and then we go back to you to see you all. So these are our 4 questions for Kino Cadre from Johannesburg, South Africa, to give us an overview who you are, how you've been involved in the Common Life project, and how we know you in the Power to the Commons Assembly in Documenta. And we have also 1 question for your member, Sappho Walana, who couldn't make it today, who was basically our video recorder during the sessions, the 4 days in Documenta 14 for our assembly. And you will find the videos that Sappho made on YouTube links that we have shared with you earlier on in the chat in here. So the floor is yours. Just stop sharing my screen so we can see you all. Thank you. You need to unmute yourselves, I think.
Okay, there we go.
Thank
So just a quick introduction. My name is Eugene.
I'm Grant.
I'm Enko.
Yeah, and we all three here. We actually invited more of our circle because, like I explained to you, we are a radical, open, and welcoming and participatory circle. So we like to involve everyone. So that's why you see three of us standing here. I just wanted to ask your permission. Instead of sort of starting to talk about who we are and our interest in commons, I thought we thought we could share one of our works in process with the session. So if you can allow me to share screen, I can just play you. It's a 3-minute clip, and it's a demonstration of our core work. So let me do that. Yeah. How do we okay, and share? Yeah.
Okay, Lucy, do they have access to share?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you find the button of sharing down?
Yeah, we found it. I'm just trying to do the process.
There we go.
Okay, so here we go. Can you see the screen?
Yes, it's white right now.
Is it white? Well, it's playing on our side. Let's see again. Can you see anything?
Only white screen so far?
Only white, yes.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, let's just maybe, is there a way to reset, to refresh?
Yeah, maybe. Yep.
Okay, refresh this.
Yes.
Got it.
Good.
It looked it showed in the
see.
first part.
Okay, this is. Okay, it should be simple. We'll get there. Yes. Just give us a moment, guys. We're gonna get there.
Is it showing?
Is it showing?
No, we're gonna do that now with Zoom. Where is the go? Where is this thing? One more try. Let's see. Do you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Nice.
Wonderful. Here we go.
It turns to white.
Still white.
What about
Okay.
okay. It's now white. Give us a second, maybe now.
Can you see it now? You see it now?
Yes, you can see it, Eugene.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Dad. Thanks, Dad.
It's when you
Kinders moet luister en groot mense praat. Julle moet begrip hê van wat 'n mens praat as jy 'n komryd wil bekom en as jy wil beklei vir mense regte. Jy kan nie net die pad invaar en sê ek is 'n komryd en viva die viva. Jy kan nie.
You know that you play a really big role in this community and you fought really hard in the struggle and we really appreciate that. So we just need that 50 rand so we can go to this youth leadership camp and we actually want to follow in your footsteps.
Serve our people, but we want to show them that we can serve our people. Julle steek ons baklei vir die mense. Julle baklei teen die mense. Ons staan saam ons en baklei vir die mense. En ons moet steek man. So, ons warriors, ons moet ons mense serve. Ja, serve. Baklei vir die mense.
Okay, so so there was a clip that we had made. It's part of the processes we're busy with, yeah. But I thought maybe we would use that as the basis of our introduction. So Enko will talk a little bit about Kinokad and Uya and Enko and Grant, and then I'll talk a little bit about our interest in commons.
Okay, hi. Kinokadre is a community cinema circle based in Cape Town, Joburg, and Paarl. It was started in Joburg by Eugene and a guy called Kelp at a rooftop. So, but what we do in Kinokadre, as you've seen in the film, we make movies. So we use the camera as an excuse to tell our own stories in our own way, working together with community, and we work outside, beyond and above the formal film industry. And so that's who we are, and that's what we do. So we make films, but for us, the end product is not really the point. It's about the process. And within the process, as much as we like creatives and activists, it's all about us coming together and working together. And instead of just going to the community to take their stories, we become part of the community. So everything that you saw now, it was made with the community. We go to the communities, become part of the community, and then in the process of storytelling as well, the community also gets to be involved, and they can also decide where they want the story to go. So we listen to the community, we are guided by community. I think that's it. That's who Kinokadre is, yeah.
Okay, my name is Grant. I'm going to be focusing on what fuels us as a collaborative. Kinokadre is we have cadre, we call it. So it's a group of individuals from different communities. And what I always like to say, it's about love. That's actually what fuels us, because we go into communities and we look for solutions, or solutions come from the communities that we work with. And what we'll do is we always say it's creating stories and narratives by the community, for the community, about the community. And that takes a lot out of everybody, but we always nourish one another, and we find ways like by breaking bread and also finding communal ways of solving problems, like how to fund this, fund that. And that's really pushes the community, because then the community actually takes ownership of what we are doing. It's not some sort of a hierarchy. It works it's totally lateral and works with the community. So that's why I feel that love is what fuels Kinokadre.
Yeah, and just a little bit about our interest in the commons. So I think, as both Grant and Enko pointed out, for us, commons is practice. So we sit in a circle. Almost everything we do is circle based. In the community, we from even script writing stage to pre-production to production to post-production, we found ways of engaging films, because we believe, like Augusto Wilde, that you need to cultural revolution is about transferring the means of cultural production to the hands of community, but practically, not just So we're struggling with the concept of what is action cinema. We've also been enriched, and that's why we're interested in the commons. We've been enriched through other initiatives that we're part of beyond our own experience. That we, for example, some of our activists have done work in the Bronx. Some of our activists have gone to Mexico and worked with Promedios in Chiapas. We were part of a gathering of media, a media gathering in Chiapas, and screened our films there. So, and then also locally in South Africa, we try to share as much of the work as we can. We were part of Vanza's initiative, where with other arts collaborations, we share our experience, our way, kind of survival strategies, because we take our kind of ideological stance is based on the thinking of the radical third cinema. So, the idea of Solanas and Gotino, of a cinema that's outside, against, and beyond formal film industry. So what are those solutions that's possible? And as Grant also explained, it's really like love, togetherness, sharing that solves a lot of our problems. Because, for example, here we are in an activist's house, and so we share what we have. And in that sense, to deconstruct film and to turn it into an action cinema. That's our Commons experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I see the time. I don't know if you have anything else to add. Maybe we can move and reflect together, which was one of the practice we did during these 4 days in Documenta, which, as it looks like, really put a footprint into what each of us did next, followed up from Documenta 15. So I will go back into the questions that we had for everyone just for a second. And as mentioned, the audience, which I haven't seen now who you are, but please feel free to add questions or jump in later on for your own questions to share with us. But these are the 3 questions. Maybe the idea, I think, it's also to include all our participants, meaning as well the Kino Cadre members who were not participating 3 years ago in Documenta. Maybe we think about learn and unlearn from this journey. And the final one is, what worlds in plural are we imagining through our collective practice? And I'm bringing it to sort of the first person to be more inclusive, not only addressing it to you, but to all of us. So what are learnings and unlearnings, but how do we imagine through collective practice, and particularly seeing that a number of you are in countries that you are currently involved in the Carta that was signed off a few days ago in Colombia in reference to a genocide. So, and thinking about the Kino Cadre's final piece of the video that I think relates to that. Maybe we consider all this together. How do we imagine another worlds together through collective practices? And I'm stop sharing so we can see each other's face. Yep. It's up to you who wants to raise a hand, can start reflecting. And it's for everyone, basically. It's a group reflection that.
Yeah, so I think for us, obviously, some of the difficulties of the Commons has to do with resources. So, to what extent are we able to work collaboratively? To what extent, like even because if we do fully embrace the possibilities of creating food together, creating life together, creating art together, creating like implements and things that we need, clothes together. There's obviously one of the greatest challenges about that is resources. So and it's time bound, it's difficult. So like, for example, 3 of us from different places had to get here to this session. So even the act, obviously, of trying to actively work to a different world takes time and resources. So for us, it's about constantly challenging our own limitations and an implicit trust that the communities in resistance will carry us. And like Grant also says, that the love, the care, the nurturing we feel for each other will see us through. So I think that's maybe one of our learnings, is to never to always believe the communities in resistance will carry you, will help solve your problems, and to kind of stay the course, although it's very difficult. And in our case, we are unfunded. We are a voluntary movement, and whatever the movement we share, the movement grows on what we have in our pockets. That's it. So just those thoughts about, I guess, the challenges of growing a commons.
Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to comment, reflect?
Yes, I think what we heard before, that aspect of love in a group is something which was something we also experienced at the Documenta, being together in the beginning as almost different people as strangers, and then working, eating together, partying together, working together. That still made sort of group connection. And I think for us, for Futur Velour, transferring that way of working and putting love in your work, but also seeing what you can reach with a group, the dynamics of, and then I speak for the group, they pray together to manifest things, which is very, I mean, it's not something concrete, but it helps to create a sort of coherence in a group. And so that aspect of love is very important, I guess, in the work and in the group.
Yeah. I suppose we're talking about radical love.
Yes, of course.
And how you practice. I kind of remember, because I see Tarin in Documenta 15, who showed us this documentary, these short clips from the Zapatista women, and the radical mothering and the love within, how has been practiced within in difficult and challenging territories, you know, geographically, but also socially, to put it this way. Mm-hmm.
I want to say something.
Yes.
Yes. I think also another thing that came from that experience of Documenta and the Assembly of the Commons were the conversations and sharing we not only had between ourselves, but since we had like at least half of the time as public sessions, there were like lots of people arriving, curious about our conversations, but also bringing their own experiences. And in the time I had the chance to share this kind of moments, it kind of opened up my world or repertoire of commoning practices, because there were people coming from like many other places from also the global south, like sharing their stories on how they practice the commoning while not calling it with the word commons. That was like the nicest part or fun part. Like on each place they call it differently, but there were like so many initiatives that the feeling of we are not alone was like very clear. And also, as Bren was saying, like of also having fun together was like a particular and important thing, part of the loving also, and exploring other ways of sharing, not only mental and like by the word, but also with bodies in motion. Yeah, just that.
Thank you, Lucy. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if I see the time, we have another 10 minutes. We're on time, I think, generally with the plan, with the schedule. So for those of you who are attending, you're listeners of this series of stories, of storytelling. If you have anything you would like to ask, more clarification or something that you would like to contribute to this discussion. And I'm sorry for the background noise, but I am myself in Platoedro, and there is some construction going on outside. So sorry for the background noise. But yes, if you have anything you would like to ask or comment, reflect, that would be really, really great to share with us.
Thank you so much, everybody. I am a little sick, but my face is not good, but I am happy to see you here and that good conversation. Thank you so much, and see you then.
I suppose one question we always had since Documenta 15, because as I think Lucy and Bren mentioned, and I think the others as well who attended it, was that although we didn't know each other in these 4 days, the intensity brought us really very close together to share 4 days of different things we did, but also to reflect together. And it's also the question, what's next? How could we basically continue this? And indeed, that is a question that was brought from Kino Cadre. What do you do with resources? Because we have to be pragmatic also, that the way we came together was that there was some funding to offer us the opportunity to have this chance to be for 4 days together. So how do you continue something in times where funding is very scarce and we're in different parts of the world with different realities and in our daily lives, and how do we practice also self-care along with caring with each other? So how do we continue to see this flourishing, which is, I think, to me, is a question that has been brought by a number of people, like, for instance, you, Giza. How do we continue this? What are the options of, do we need money and then funding, and then under which circumstances? And if we don't, how do we continue without extract or exploit each other's time and, capacities?
Hello, everyone. I want to make a small contribution as well, as Taryn, also from Kino Cadre. And it also it leads on from Bryn and Grant, and it's this idea of radical love. Penny, I don't think there is another kind of love. I think the other love might not be love at all. But I think the thing that I feel that is, or that I want to say is that the love that was engendered in that space was so intimate and like natural in such a small amount of time. And what I think is important for me to know about what's common there is that it could have been any other members from our movements, and that intimacy would have ignited as well. And I think that's because we find ourselves as these nodes of a consciousness that is seeking reconnection and is finding it, and will always find it through us as individuals, importantly, and then also beyond us. And it feels important for me to also mention that there were moments of conflict in Documenta as well. And in that brief amount of time, fundamental conflict that comes up in every one of our movements that was raised happened there too. And I think that that's also important. It's important for us to orientate to, or not orientate to, but to understand that these movements are, that we are mature movements, and we are holding a mature ancient idea. And so it's about, I don't have an answer to how we come together, but I do think that it's both about looking to the current context and its constraints around resources, and it's also about feeling and feeling into beyond it to almost an organic human. I don't know what, but I know what the answers are, but I do think it has something to do with the antenna that Alex built. And for those of us who weren't there, Alex from Plateau Edro and the Plateau Edro, not just Alex, but they built a sort of organic antenna inside a garden, inside a park in Kassel. And they planted plants around it, and really it was this idea, for me at least, how I made sense of it. It was this marking of space and work and effort for the ideas that there is a space making and a meaning making beyond the rational, this thing that we've been taught is rational thought. So those are a bit of this, those are like my thoughts as they come and as I remember. And and what I'm called to share. And also a big thank you for rekindling the space, and also thank you to everyone who made the effort to share.
Thank you, Taryn. Thank you, because obviously, and you brought this, that the commons is not like to romanticize. It can also bring the conflict and the processes to overcome, or basically think with the conflict, think with the trouble, as you know. I see the time, and I think maybe it's a time for the closing check-in, and to go back to Lucy to remind us the next sessions. Give me a second, because I think I have them in this sharp. Is the last? Yes, this is it. So these are the next sessions. I don't know if you would like to say more, Lucy, about.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming. We have a next session in
1st of August.
Yeah, that will be in the 1st of August, and we will be embracing the topic of commoning with more than humans. We will hear and share water stories that we can listen from more than humans in the environment. So there will be some experiences that from people from Colombia, mostly around this topic. This session will be held in Spanish, but we will provide translation so that you can like follow it. And we are very happy to navigate this road of different approaches to commoning. After that, we will have on 15th of August a different approach from commoning with blockchain technology, because there are we will talk about the transformative potential beyond individual applications, empowering grassroots communities and strengthening collaborative initiatives. This is a more related with tech session. Also on 5th of September, related with the blockchain, there will be a session about specifically decentralized autonomous organization, integration with DAOs, and practical tools for communities, fostering transparency. And at the end, our last session will be on 24th of September, and we will have, together with the Commoning Cluster Plenary and the Arts Collaboratory Plenary, so you will meet different other people from the Arts Collaboratory ecosystem. We will be reflecting on the learnings and unlearnings from these teachings and all the way we have done together. So you are more than invited to join. In case you cannot join, you will have always the YouTube link to assist, to watch it. You can also share it with the people you think can be interested in it. And we are very happy that we made it one more day. And thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much all. Thank you. Thanks for this really in-depth and reflective I'll say sessions, seeing all of you and listening to your stories and how you move forward since Documenta 15 and the impact it may have had in your specific projects in the different territories that you are in. As Lucy said, this is recorded, so you can find the recording later on if you want to share it with friends, critical friends and other people, and spread the word. Thank you so much. So, thanks from the ACC School, basically. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
The recording has stopped.